Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Charlene. I'm so happy that you're here. We're going to get started on how I quit my corporate job twice. I'm just going to screen share so that you can follow along with me with my slides that I made for you. So let's see here. Application window. 1 second. Hope everyone's doing really, really great. Here we go. Share. Present to everyone. Yay! All right. You see me? You see me going? That was actually, I took a little field trip to the Mohawk Mountain Resort in the fall. You can see all those beautiful leaves behind me, and I just thought it was such a pretty picture. Anyways, don't worry about this date right here. Obviously, we passed that date. But I'm going to talk to you about how I quit my corporate job twice to pursue my dreams, why the first time failed and the second time succeeded. Woohoo! All right. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Charlene Light, and I used to be a struggling artist searching for my purpose, miserable at my day job, and waiting for my big break. But now I am a fully fulfilled, self-actualized woman in my 40s who makes my living doing all the things that I love, that inspire me, that motivate me, like teaching yoga, singing and playing in classes, creating fun retreats, workshops, challenges like my 40 Fearless. And I'm going to share how I did it all with you. So before we begin, I want to meditate with you and set our intention for this little webinar. So I want you to find a comfortable seat. If you're sitting somewhere where you don't feel comfortable, really move to a space where you feel comfortable. So sit up nice and tall and close your eyes. And just take a few moments to settle into your body and into your breath. And see if you can lean back just a little bit so you feel a little bit taller through the spine. Let the shoulders gently soften down and away from your ears. And even find a little bit more lift out through the crown of the head and out through your heart. And then start to find your breath. Really follow that nice deep inhale and that nice deep exhale. And allow that breath and that movement to begin to calm you and allow it to center you and to give you a sense of peace. So I want you to honor your feelings right now. Honor all of your feelings of discontent, of feeling like the path that you've been on doesn't feel like you anymore. Know that you're not crazy or weird for feeling this way. That a lot of this discomfort and pain, really that you're feeling, is completely valid because you're not the same person that you were when you began your journey. So during this webinar, just be open to explore these feelings and to gain whatever information might help you find more clarity or vision along your path. And just consider, that maybe you're being prepared for something even bigger than you ever imagined. And what if all of this was happening for you and not to you? What if you were always meant to change your dreams and pivot your passion or reinvent a new life, one that is really aligned with who you are today? Just take a few moments on that, knowing that really that maybe you're being meant for a change for a reason. And all these feelings are a call, right? A call to make a change. So take a nice deep breath in, let it out, and let's go ahead and begin. All right, I'm just a girl. So I grew up in the San Fernando Valley to traditional Jewish parents who weren't very supportive of my artistic passions. So I don't know how many of you can relate, but even though my parents divorced, which isn't traditional, both of them were very, very clear on me getting an education and going out and finding a job and making a lot of money and getting married and have children, right? So a lot of that really did shape my perception of what was possible for me, even though I really rejected that kind of idea that that was going to be my end all be all, I still had that in my consciousness as a path of success, if that makes sense. So how I spent most of my 20s was really following their path. And thus, I felt really unfulfilled. I ended up working at Disney, ABC, Sony Music, and I worked for Barry Manilow's management company. These were all corporate entertainment jobs, which, you know, paid me well. And I was, you know, justifying it by saying, well, but I'm in, you know, a really fun industry, blah, blah, blah. But for many of you who know, those industries are still a business. They're big business. So a lot of it is still very corporate. And that's really what I was doing. So I took my first leap when I was turning 30. I was 29 years old, and I really felt at this point at 29, I had already been pursuing music. Music was a huge passion of mine, but I kept it very quiet from my parents because I knew that they wouldn't be supportive. In fact, my father basically told me, you know, I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it as a successful artist. And I was like 16, you know, at the time. So that really did impact me. But I still pursued it anyway because I really followed this gift that I was given, truly, which is, you know, a voice. And I took voice lessons, and I spent every extra cent that I had on, you know, developing this gift, developing my talent. You know, I performed. I was very scared to perform in the beginning, and I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it till I felt more comfortable. I picked up a guitar at age, you know, 26 and taught myself how to play so that I can write my own songs, you know. So I did a lot of this stuff later in my 20s when most people were, I don't know, out having careers and getting married and doing all that stuff. I think I just got to a point in my mid 20s where I was like, I'm not happy just, you know, daydreaming about what if I'm going to actually see, you know, my talent through, like what my true potential is. So when I was 29, I was feeling very stagnant at this job at ABC Family Channel. I was working as a promo scheduler at the time, which is basically, you know, entering a bunch of codes in a very boring program. So I was responsible for the graphics that you see on television. And I was good at my job, whatever. Whatever being, I was very detail oriented, and I did my job well, and it paid the bills and then some, you know. But 5 years at this job, I really felt like it was becoming a jail cell. I just felt like it wasn't enough to go home and then feed my passion. It was really starting to bleed into my entire life. I was feeling very stagnant, very bored. I wasn't challenged. I wasn't motivated. And you can't spend the majority of your day at a job that isn't feeding you in some way. I felt like I had so many talents that I wasn't even tapping into. And I was doing a disservice to myself for staying at this job, just collecting a paycheck. So 29. And I was like, screw this. I'm going to be 30. I'm not married yet. I'm just going to move to New York City and give it my all. Woo, yeah, right? I was like, I'm going to follow all those, you know, behind the music specials that I've been watching, all those True Hollywood stories. And I'm going to sell everything, leave my family and friends. And I showed up to Queens, Astoria, with about $7,000 in savings and zero debt and a ton of enthusiasm and belief. Like, I really thought this is what it takes, right? Because everything that up until that point that I had read or spoken about or spoken to, you know, like how do you make it in the industry is you really have to give it your all. Well, God damn it, I'm 30 and I'm going to give it my all and I'm moving to New York. I mean, come on. It was like the recipe of success, right? I remember everyone telling me, oh, you know, don't do it or have a backup plan. I said, no, this is not about having a backup plan. This is about me going for it, period. I don't want to live and have regrets in my life. So what happened was I spent the first few years kind of hopping from day job to day job in New York City. And this is the beginning of my first pattern. So because I was always in corporate jobs up until that point, I was like, I don't want to take a job that's gonna, you know, where I have to spend 40 hours a week there. I just want something easy, something that I can get, you know, paid really well, but something I can kind of enjoy, but that I can leave at the drop of a hat when I get my record deal, right? So I worked as a bartender, I worked as a hostess, I worked as a waitress, I worked as a receptionist, I had all these crazy jobs, but emotionally, I was incredibly drained. Because doing what I loved full time really did shine a spotlight on all my limiting beliefs about myself and what was possible. I kept looking for outside validation to assure me that I was successful. For instance, if I would do a show and, there wouldn't be, this many people at my show, I would think, oh my God, I'm a failure. This is never going to work. If I put out a song or if I put out a recording and it didn't get the response that I wanted, again, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So I didn't realize at the time, because I had no self-awareness, that I was really testing how confident I was. And it turns out I wasn't very confident, because at the drop of a hat, I would immediately say to myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. All these signs are leading to the fact that I'm not good enough to make it as a success. Like my father said, I'm just kind of being honest. So step one in our part in co-creation is that we don't get what we want in life. We actually get what we mostly think about. So when I say that, going after my dreams kind of shined a big spotlight on all my limiting beliefs, I didn't even know that underneath all that confidence was incredible insecurity. That because, here's the thing is, like, even though I was doing all the work and I had all of the talent and what have you, I still was at the mercy of like who was showing up to my shows, how are people responding to my music? And really, you have to have the confidence of like, even though they're not showing up yet, they will. There's a constant in the back of your mind, a belief, knowing, no, this is what I should be doing. They will come. And you just keep doing, you keep going. But what was happening with me is I didn't have that foundation at all. I was crumbling. I allowed every single external, excuse to basically make me feel like I am not good enough to be a success in music, period. So we are co-creating our reality all the time with our words, with our thoughts, with our energy. And I internalized my father's limiting belief about my artistic dreams as my own, and I wasn't even aware of it until much later. So just take a moment now and think about a limiting belief that you have about yourself, and kind of ask yourself, where did this even come from, right? Because it's important to kind of acknowledge that a belief is just a thought that you keep repeating over and over and over again. And sometimes we adopt these beliefs about ourselves that aren't even from us. They're from parents, or they're from, I don't know, siblings, or maybe an aunt, or maybe a cousin, or maybe a teacher, right? Somebody that's not even a part of your life anymore. And somehow you've internalized it and made it your own. And it's really important to understand where it comes from so that we can actually change that thought, change that belief. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm a victim of my reality versus I'm co-creating. So during this process, I was completely a victim of my reality. Like I said, I was just at the mercy of what was happening around me. I thought, my question constantly was why, and breaking down the why syndrome. So I really think asking why is a victim-based way of thinking, because why is just basically you're whining, like, why is this happening to me? Why is this, turning out why can't I get this many people at my shows? Why can't I get this record deal? Why can't I get this manager's attention? Why? It's such a disempowering question to ask, because your brain is like a computer. And when you ask it a disempowering question, where it's a question of just like victim, it's going to give you 5,000 answers that are all victim-based, right? But if you ask yourself a really smart question, like, let's just say, what is this actually teaching me about myself, right? If I was self-aware enough during that time and I was wondering, God, why am I feeling so depressed and sad? What is this teaching me about myself? I would have really saved myself a lot of pain, because I would have realized, wait a second. Oh, sorry. Sometimes outdoor factors come creeping into the present. That's okay. It's New York City. But I would have realized that I had a very, very negative and disempowering belief about my ideas of success as an artist. And I didn't realize that at the time. So at the time, it was just really, I felt like I was crumbling. I didn't realize my part in co-creating my reality. And I did the unthinkable. After 2 years, I went back to a corporate job after I vowed never to go back. Never. I remember distinctly saying to myself, I am never going back to a corporate job. And there I was 2 years later, back at Spike TV, doing the same job that I had back in LA. And that's another pattern. So another thing to note is that, which I say, step 2, noticing patterns, spike, ABC, and bad hair temp job. So take a moment, and what pattern can you identify right now that you want to change? You know, and it could be a job, it could be coworkers, friends, relationships. Like, does it feel like you're constantly surrounding yourself with the same kinds of people that are sucking your energy away? Or maybe you're, attracting a certain kind of relationship in your life. And by the way, it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be friendship. It could even be the relationship with like people that you work with. Like maybe it's the person who does your nails, or it's the person that works at the bodega downstairs. Like there's some sort of pattern of quality of person that you keep attracting that you don't like, or that makes you feel bad about yourself. And what have you learned from this pattern? Something that it taught you about yourself or what you want for the future. So I believe that patterns really exist because we don't learn the lessons. So the minute or the second or the hour or whatever, you realize the lesson of why you keep attracting this certain power, then this certain pattern, then the pattern will break. Then it will break, because again, you are co-creating your life. So you're attracting to you who you are, what you mostly think about, not what you want. And also, how will responding differently to this if and when it shows up again? So for instance, I'll give you a quick example. I quit my spike job to pursue yoga teaching, and I'll get into that in a second. But I remember maybe it wasn't even 3 months after I quit, I was looking for like a side gig, one that was a little bit different than waitressing. So I remember it was like an interview at the 92nd Street Y in their wellness division or something like that. And I remember being on the interview, and I was so, again, like just on this high because I quit my job again, but this was for good. And I remember the woman who was interviewing me, she said to me, I said, yeah, I just quit corporate life. I'm super excited, but I want something part-time. I think I was interviewing for like a part-time receptionist. I don't know. And she said, oh, you're quitting to teach yoga, huh? She's like, well, I would give that another couple months and then you might be back for this job, or something like that, something very derogatory. And I just thought, oh, like, why did that have to happen? But it's because it was speaking to an insecurity of like, can I really make this happen? And so, but I didn't take that job. I didn't allow those words to affect me because I was so ready at that point, and I was mentally stable enough to know that she was wrong. And she was. All right. So 2 years back at corporate life, I tried to look for a quick fix to get out. I remember applying for like Lululemon. I didn't get hired. I was just like, I just need something. I need something to get me out of this corporate life. Like, please, God, help me, right? And I just kept like desperately looking for something else. Nothing was working. And then I enrolled in a workshop called Something Different for Women. I wrote terrible title, I know. And this was the first time I received this huge wake-up call. And I really think that when you're ready is when you'll receive that call. When you're ready, you'll receive that information, that light, that spark that just you can't not do something about. And so I remember she said, your thoughts and your words have power, so pay attention. And I thought, oh my God, I had never heard that before. Up until that point, I just was living my life again like a victim, wanting change, but not understanding how to create that change. So at that point, I was like, oh my God, I can change my thoughts, my beliefs, my perception. I can co-create my reality. Woo! And I was like very excited again. So this was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. This was the beginning of me reading everything on the topic of self-improvement and self-development. And I, again, was asking really empowering questions like, how can I see this differently? What is this situation teaching me? I was creating daily gratitude lists. I stopped talking about the negative and allowed for more focus, reflection, and intention. And this is really important because we don't realize how much our conversations are around the negativity or around what it is we don't want. And that is really, really detrimental because you're going to keep attracting all of that negativity if you keep continuing to talk about it, especially with your friends and loved ones and so on and so forth. So there has to be a point where you're just like fed up of the bullshit and you're like, I want to make a change. I want to change for good, period. End of story. And I really did trust that I was being guided. So step 3, where you are right now is serving you. So look at where you are and ask, what are the qualities that I do love about my day-to-day job? And get really specific. Write everything down, because what we put our focus on grows. So we want to put our focus on what is working for us. And I talk a little bit about this in my 3-part video on how to pivot your passion. If you haven't had a chance, you should go take a look at those 3 videos, because I go into detail and give you specific exercises that you can do. But this is really important, because this is a way to actively shift your focus from what you don't want to what you do want. And then again, because we're co-creators, what you put your focus on grows. And I would really start a daily, gratitude list, appreciation list. It doesn't have to be in the morning. It could be on your way to work. I actually send myself emails, and I've had the same, I put them in a little folder on my Gmail, and I've done that for the past 7 years. So it's a really powerful practice. And I know people say, oh, I'm grateful all the time, but it's totally different when you actually write it out. When you actually write it out, it will shift your whole perspective. I promise you. So how I prepared for my second leap, which I talked a little bit about before I got to the slide, I let go of where I thought I should be. So I let go of the idea that being a singer-songwriter was my only purpose in life. And that was really difficult, to be honest, because I kept going back to, well, why was I given this talent? Why was I able to do this? Why? Again, why? And I let all that go, and I thought, maybe all of this is preparing me for something that is even bigger than I could ever imagine. And right now, I just need to step into that trust that I am being guided, that all of the things that brought me here, that maybe this gift was given to me just to step into this journey. It got me to New York. It got me to go after my dreams. It got me to quit my job. It got me to really become the person that I was always meant to be. So if you can look at your life that way, I really believe you're going to understand things a little bit differently. So it's not about I should be making this amount of money, or what society thinks I'm supposed to be doing, or what my parents think I should be doing. Really, life isn't about getting what you want. It's about who you become. Right? Are you going to fulfill your ultimate purpose? Are you going to reach the potential that you were meant to reach in your lifetime? So that's really the questions that we should be asking. So I began to trust in the idea that maybe I'm being guided towards something even bigger. I was willing to live in the unknown. I was willing to say, God, universe, I am willing to be guided towards a life I love, that is fulfilling, that is meaningful, that makes a difference in people's lives. And I promise to do my part, to take inspired action. So step 4, letting go of old beliefs. I stopped efforting. So this is kind of a myth, I believe, in our culture. And it's really difficult to understand because it's so embedded in everything, especially in reality television. You have to work really, 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 really hard to achieve. That's sort of the American dream. Like, you can't just sit back and, be lazy and blah, blah, blah. And there's a difference between being lazy and efforting. So efforting sends a message to the universe that, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do this, It's not trusting that it's already there within your reach. There has to be a sense of, you set an intention, like, this is something that I desire, but I'm letting go of how the universe is going to show up for me. And the letting go is really the miracle, because if you understand that we're being guided, that we're co-creating our lives and our worlds, then it can come to you in so many other ways. But it's like, you want something, you want a desire, you set out your intention to the universe or to the world, like, this is what I want. I want a new job. I want a new career. I want a different path. I want a new relationship. But if you're so focused on, this is the only way it's going to come by, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, like, I'm only going to get this, by, being on LinkedIn and sending out my resume 50 times, a day, and blah, 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 blah. Then the universe is like trying to give you subtle hints and, send you messages all the time. But if you're so focused on only A, B, C, D, you're never going to receive those miracles, those gifts. It's just not going to happen. So there has to be a surrendering involved. So letting go of old beliefs, I stopped efforting. one of my old beliefs is that I had to work really hard to make it, which I believe all of us kind of have underneath. And then what would happen if you just stopped trying so hard? What if all you needed to do was allow yourself to be in the flow of your life? What if there was no mistakes and you made no wrong decisions? How would your life feel, right? Doesn't that kind of already make you feel a little bit more relaxed, right? I know it does for me. Like knowing that there's no such thing as a mistake in life. Because really, it's just a pattern. If you keep, if something doesn't work out, there really is a lesson. I think that if you don't learn the lesson or if you don't ask yourself the right questions, then that scenario will keep showing up. So that's just sort of a pattern, but because you're now self-aware beings, or you're on your way to being, that's not going to happen. So there is something to allowing yourself to just relax and to set an intention, to take inspired action, right? So there's a difference between efforting and taking inspired action. Inspired action is really if you're in a good feeling space, like you're just on a roll, you're happy, things are going well, you're feeling joyful, and you have like this idea, like, you know what, I'm going to reach out to so-and-so about, saying, hey, I'm interested in a different job and blah, 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 blah. Like it just came to you out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere, right? That's inspired action. But efforting is when you're desperate and you can sense it. You even feel it from other people, right? It's like they're trying too hard, or there's something about their energy that just is like kind of sucking the life out of you because it's such a desperation. And that's what I mean by efforting, where you're just like, oh, I have to do this. I can't, where it's just a freak out mode. That person doesn't understand the ideas around surrendering and letting go and trusting the universe. Like that person. And sometimes that happens to me where I'll get caught up and I think I have to do da 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 da, and then I'll freak out a little bit if I'm not feeling like I'm doing enough. And then I have to stop myself and go, wait a second. Like I'm forgetting that the universe is really taking care of me all the time. Everything is always working out for me. So I need to just step back and trust that. Just because you can't see with your physical eyes things happening, things are happening. They are happening, but you have to let yourself trust in that, right? So there is a surrendering to a higher power, to your higher power, to whatever you want to call it, whether it's God, the universe, it could be your inner voice, it could be love, whatever makes you feel comfortable, there is a surrendering to that and understanding that. So I actively took steps to get out of Spike. I asked mentors, people that in the company that I saw were successfully transitioning from one career to another. I asked how they were doing it, and they said baby steps. I started writing affirmations all around my bedroom. I had one in particular: I love what I do and do what I love every day. I started writing and journaling and how it would feel in my job, and what if it was an extension of who I am. And consistency is the key. That was my big difference. I really consistently really set off on a different path of putting out there what it is that I do like about my life, that I do want, and feeling as if it was already within me. And then I created these vision statements. So before I ever knew that I would become a yoga teacher, I asked myself, how do I want to feel every day? And I basically wrote all these big statements like, I want to have independence. I want to have freedom. I want to feel joyful. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to feel like I'm building a community. Like I had all of these key words everywhere. I want to laugh big and loud every day. That was in one of them. And then I realized that I've started to follow this other passion of mine, which was yoga. And I was like, you know what? Like teaching yoga would actually fulfill all of these qualities that I put down for how I want to feel every day. So that's when I signed up for yoga teacher training. Why aligning with how we feel matters. You don't have to know what you want to leap towards yet. All you need to do is align with how it will feel to already have this said career, this life, this job, right? Which I was just talking about. And the first step in manifesting your dream is to become an energetic match. So act as if you already have it. Then watch how the universe will show up for you when you show up differently. So again, like I was saying, I had all of these big statements. I kept looking at my dream board with these statements every single day, and I would add more when I would get more specific. And usually this is what was interesting, is like if I was at my job and I was like really frustrated because I was bored, or let's say, maybe I'll be more specific. Maybe it was, I was entering something in the computer every day and I wasn't really talking to people. So instead of going home and being all pissed off or complaining about that, I flipped it and I said, I want to laugh big and loud every day. I want to see, the same faces that are excited to see me. I want to have really meaningful conversations and connections with people. So I was taking what I didn't like about my current situation and flipping it into a positive of what I wanted in my life every day. So you can't know what you want unless you know what you don't want. So that's why it's important to honor where you are right now, because it's giving you information, and we have to really be specific on how that information, how we turn it over to a positive so that we can attract what it is that we want. All right. Peace out, corporate life. Universe helped me. So I moved back to Astoria to save money on my rent. I enrolled in yoga teacher training, but I still didn't know if I can teach or make a living solely teaching yoga. I began reviewing my dream diary videos. Oh, so this is something I didn't really speak about. When I was 29 years old, back when I was in LA, I picked up a video camera and I started to record video diaries of my life while pursuing my dreams as a singer-songwriter. And this is way before any social media, YouTube, nothing like exists like it does now. So, which was kind of great because there was a real honesty. I wasn't talking to the camera thinking that somebody was going to see it per se. I was just doing it to it was really a diary for me. It was a video journal of my life. And that was when I realized, I'm really not happy. I really want to move to New York. And all of that kind of shaped its way into my reality because I was really tapping into my true voice, which is why I think it's so important to journal or to video diary or to get your feelings out there. It's important. So anyways, I was reviewing my dream diary videos and I saw an old video. Oh, I forgot to mention, I kept recording my video diaries for 10 years. So yeah, exactly. 10 years of video diaries. And I was reviewing all of my old footage of these video diaries. And I started to speak when I was 29 saying my biggest fear is that 5 years from now, I'm going to be working a corporate job and still doing music on the side. And when I saw that, I paused the video and I was like, holy shit, that's exactly what I'm doing. I was still at Spike and I was still doing music on the side. And I couldn't even believe it. So the next day I gave my notice. It was like I saved myself. Rejection is God's protection. This is a really good one. After I became certified, I kept thinking, how can I leave my job without a job to go to? Oh, okay, I talked about this earlier. I applied to Lululemon. I didn't get it. But that prompted me to get angry and ask, what do I really want to do? I really want to teach. So I went on Craigslist, applied for a yoga teacher job in Astoria, and I got a class. She basically hired me to teach that Saturday. I was like, wait, that was like way too easy, So that's why it's really important to understand that just because something doesn't work out, it's actually for your benefit. And really ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want? Am I really going after something I really want? No, I was being safe. I just wanted that Lululemon job just to get me out of Spike, but it wasn't like I wanted to be a salesperson, So why I succeeded the second time? My shift in perception. So getting hired, okay, I'll talk about this in a second. Like I said, before all of this, I was a victim of my circumstance. I was a victim of my life. I thought the world was just happening to me. I didn't understand why this, why that. I was asking the wrong questions, yada, yada, yada. I just had no self-awareness. So again, I took that workshop and that just opened me up in every single way. It was like the wake-up call that I had been longing for, that I didn't even realize I wanted, but I needed so desperately. And it changed everything. So I'm doing gratitude lists. I'm writing down all the things that I want in my job. What do I want? How do I want to feel? And pretty soon things just started opening, doors started opening. So one example is I got hired at New York Sports Club by accident, meaning so I quit my job, my corporate job at Spike. I had no job to go to. I ended up getting just a part-time gig at a spa, like a reception job for a little bit. And then I worked as a waitress. But it was a different experience at this point because I was so like, I am so ready for this. I'm going to teach yoga and that's it. Like I just had my mindset. There was no wavering in my ability or my confidence in what a good teacher I I was becoming, right? So anyways, I walked into New York Sports Club and I asked about getting hired there. And the guy told me, oh yeah, we have auditions on this day. So I show up on the audition and I ended up going through the whole audition. And then afterwards they were like, we don't have your application. I was like, what application? They're like, you were supposed to come sign up online and do this whole application and then you get invited. So I skipped all that part and they ended up hiring me anyway. That was like a whole year waiting list to like apply online and then you get invited to the audition, and I just skipped it because I just ended up accidentally, quote unquote, meaning I don't believe in those accidents. The universe was helping me out there. And then I got hired and that really helped. Another thing I kept doing again was asking the right questions. How can I see this differently? And I was taking inspired action and creating my own monthly workshops. And if I didn't get hired the first time, I went back again and again until I did, because again, my belief system was different. I was really confident in my abilities as a yoga teacher. And I just really knew in my heart that I was doing the right things and that eventually all of my dreams would come true, and that I was trusting in the unknown as well, because I didn't quite know how my life was going to look. I didn't know how much money I was going to make, but I kept being really attuned and active to like, how am I feeling right now? What feels good to me? And then going with it and going forth. And I really trusted my inner voice. So that was really the key. So now I am a teacher at every major gym in Manhattan, New York Sports Club, Crunch, Equinox. I teach corporate, I teach privates. I have organized and led retreats to Costa Rica, Guatemala, the Catskills, and now I'm going to Peru at the end of June. I do day retreats to Cold Spring, Mohawk Mountain House. And I really just ask myself, what sounds like fun? And I create it. I also created 40 Fearless Acts at 40 when I was turning 40, and I'm submitting that to book proposals. I'm submitting my book proposal to agents, but I'm also open to turning it into a pilot, actually. I feel really strongly that it could be a series, so that's really exciting. So I am at this really beautiful place of now I keep asking myself, well, what's going to make me happy now? Like, where do I feel disaligned? Where do I feel like I'm ready to give more? And that's when it hit me. I feel that there's nothing out there right now that speaks to the people that have gone after one dream, or you've taken one path, career-wise, and it doesn't work out the way that you thought, or maybe you're feeling differently about it than you did when you started. And what happens when you want to make that change, when you want to pivot your passion? As an artist, like I said, I quickly, glossed over it, but it was a challenge for me to, what do I do with all this passion that I have for music and all of the years that I spent, really honing in on my talent? It's not like I just woke up and was able to play all these instruments and write music. I really had to develop that. What do I do with all of those skills and that passion and that emotion? And how do I transfer that? So I created, well, first of all, without even knowing, I put all of my 10 years of video diaries, I edited all into this documentary called The Dream Diaries. So that's the first thing that I did in terms of, feeling called to teach this, feeling called to share this, feeling called to basically share my story so that other people feel like they're not alone in wanting to change, or they're not alone in, God, this thing didn't work out and I feel like a failure. Like, no, again, looking at it differently, all of the reason you were called for that particular purpose or for that particular dream or particular career was to become the person that you are today. Like, I really, truly believe that. And who you are today is different than where you started. So that's why it feels different to be, where you are in this path, on this career, or on this journey. And it's okay. So the first thing I did was create that film, which again, is not like this little thing. But I captured 10 years of video diaries from 29 to 39, and I edited it all into a 2-hour documentary. And here's the great thing. You're going to get to witness my transformation from struggling artist to a woman fueled by purpose, drive, and passion. And you can watch my trailer, and I have my little URL link, so you can watch it there. It's on my website. And the biggest thing is I have this amazing course that I feel called to share to you. It's called Pivot Your Passion, a spiritual reboot towards a life and career that you love. And I am so excited to share this with you because, again, I am going to be walking you through each step that I took, but in greater detail, to help you pivot your passion successfully. So I will take you through the process of how to pivot your passion week by week with different videos and worksheets, affirmations, meditations, tools to keep you grounded, feeling good as you transition. And I've got some bonuses which are available to you, which I'll put all on my link. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And here it is. Woohoo! Pivot your passion. Woohoo! And basically, I feel incredibly called to share this, to now teach others how I changed my life, how I shifted my outlook, and how I live just with a sense of joy and a sense of love and a sense of just, how do I explain it? Just incredible zest for life. Like there is a certain part that just feels lighter to me, and I know my last name is Light, but I walk around and I really believe that anything is possible. And I really believe that the universe and the world and life is working for you. It's not just happening to you. And I want to teach you all of it. I want to share all of it with you. So here's what I'm going to do. I am offering a special discount. Don't worry about this 24 hours only, because that's not going to happen. This discount is going to be for those that are actually listening to this webinar. All you have to do is email me and tell me that you've listened. And I'm offering $200 off this course, $200 off my digital course. So all you have to do is email me that you're interested, and I will send you the link to receive the $200 off. Are you excited? I just would be so honored for you to come on this journey with me. I can't express to you how excited I am to share all of this with you. I feel like it's been bubbling up inside of me for too long, and I have to get it out. And it's going to be a fun ride. Because it's me. We're going to have a good time. There's going to be some spiritual transformation, and there's going to be some concepts and ideas that maybe you'll be resistant towards in the beginning. But I promise you, you're going to learn so much about yourself that really it's going to take you beyond pivoting your passion, like how to deal with how we talk to ourselves, how to deal, how to transform pain into passion, how to not be afraid of those darker emotions, all of that. So please email me, let me know that you've watched this webinar, and I would love for you to join me once it starts. I'm going to have all the details on my website, so just check it out or just email me and I'll let you know when the digital course actually begins. It should begin in the next few months. And I'm so excited and I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm truly, truly honored that you've listened this far. Again, thank you so much. And wherever you are on your journey, again, just know that you are exactly where you need to be, and you have everything within you to be a success. Everything. Take care, guys. Bye.